When I was in middle school, I obsessively played Call of Duty, and, well, no, that was pretty much the extent of my life. Today's guest, however, is a young pundit and conservative activist who made headlines back in February for his viral video entitled President Obama, Do You Really Love America? 12-year-old CJ Pearson joins me now from Augusta, Georgia to discuss his new request for the President of the United States. CJ, you want to sit down with President Obama for an interview. Tell me more.
I definitely do want to sit down with President Obama, but before we get into that, I'd like to thank you for having me today. And going even further to continue in that same vein, yes, I made a request to the President to sit down with a meeting and to talk about the problems facing our generation, and like I said, the issues that matter. And like President Obama, I want to give my generation some change that we can believe in, and a future that we can count on. And that's where our agendas cross. But we have a different way of fulfilling our agenda, but I do believe that if you look past party, if you look past political philosophy, we could actually have a positive and meaningful discussion together.
Now, this next question is twofold, CJ. Firstly, do you think the White House will approve your request? And then secondly, what's one question you'd ask President Obama given the chance?
Definitely. I'm definitely optimistic about the answer that the White House will give me. I've said this many times. President Obama is willing to sit down with a lady that, bathes in cereal and does all that good stuff. Then I see no reason why he can't sit down with me and have a positive and meaningful discussion. As far as one of the first questions I would ask him is, what has he done for our generation? He said time and time again while he's been courting our votes that he'd be an advocate for our values and our principles and what we actually believe in. And me, as a millennial, as a person, in our generation, I really don't see what he's done for us. So, number one, I'd like to see his thoughts on exactly what has he done for our generation as he upheld his promise that he made to our generation to be an advocate for our values and principles.
From my experience, CJ, the majority of our generation is politically apathetic. Regardless of this, why should young people like yourself care about politics?
Definitely. I've always said time and time again that if you really want to make a difference in the world, then you have to be involved politically. Ariana Grande holds no power in government, nor does Lil Wayne or Drake or anyone like that. They hold no power politically, and therefore they can't really influence change other than in a social way. And so, if you really want to make a difference, if you want to fight for what you believe in, if you want to see meaningful change in this world, you have to get politically involved. There are many times where it can be frustrating. Politics is a very frustrating industry, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. You're fighting for what you believe in. You're fighting for your values. You're fighting for your future, essentially. And so it's crucial for many people in our generation to get involved, fight for what we believe in, and continue to make noise even when many people will just remain silent.
CJ, as a middle school student, what are your thoughts on Common Core real quickly?
Definitely. Being a middle school student, I am definitely faced with Common Core many, many times just throughout the school year. We actually introduced it, implemented it in the 5th grade, so I tackled it then, and I'm continuing to tackle it. Common Core is one of the biggest failures in education in my recent memory. When you put the government into such a thing like in education, it is bound to fail. When government interjects itself in a discussion that should be between parents and teachers on the local level, then you are bound to have students that are going to be left behind and not continuing to grow within their education. Every student learns differently, and Common Core doesn't even recognize that. Common Core is a one-size-fits-all approach that is bound to fail for every student that determines that they're different the way they learn. Everyone's different. It's something that I believe in educationally, something I believe that's just life, and Common Core doesn't acknowledge that, and I think that's one of its biggest failures as a standard.
Finally, CJ, what are your goals for the future insofar as the political arena?
Definitely. I definitely do have political aspirations one day to run for office. It's always been a big goal of mine to be a U.S. Senator and represent the great state of Georgia and have the opportunity to serve the people of my community and fighting for their values in Washington and not giving up on this government. We've come way too far to give up on America, and I will continue to fight for our country in whatever capacity that I can. It's always been a goal of mine, to run in 2040, and so as opposed to say I'm always actively exploring, and I'll let you know when we get there.
CJ Pearson, 12-year-old conservative activist, thanks so much for joining me on Teen Take, and I hope to collaborate with you in the future. Thanks again.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.